Hey everyone! So you know I loved UChicago if you've seen any of my other videos, like literally any of them. But of course there are things I wish were better about campus, so here's my what I hate about UChicago video. I don't know, I feel kind of bad making this because you need to go through like pain points to get to a good place. So I can't entirely blame UChicago for the mistakes I've made, but yes, there are a lot of things that could be better on campus. So I'm gonna get into that, but I just want to warn you guys right now, if you're new to my channel, this will not be a hateful UChicago rant. So if you want that, I'm sure you can find it somewhere else. This is just gonna be a genuine like one-on-one things that I personally think UChicago could and should do better. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so this first one, I don't know if it's controversial. I think everyone who went to UChicago would agree with me, but it might not sound right to you guys. But I feel like people try to prove that they aren't a nerd. It's almost like this UChicago mindset where people go out of their way to show that they're cool or show that they're popular. And they try to prove that they're not a typical UChicago student. Like, you know, the quirky, nerdy, goofy UChicago student. Like, people try to go out of their way to act like they're not that. And it's called overcompensation, people. It is so obvious. And I feel like I saw a lot of that. And it just didn't stick right with me because I love being a UChicago student. And it's like people try to like prove that they weren't one. And it's just like, you know, once you're in college, there aren't stereotypes like that. Like, we're adults. So it was a bit odd to see that. And I think it highlighted a lot of insecurity that exists on campus. And I truly think there is a lot of insecurity on UChicago's campus. I'm not completely sure why. I think there's insecurity as to the fact that UChicago is a newer, like, you know, non-Ivy League top school, and people are always trying to prove that UChicago belongs up there, which, like, you don't need to prove that. I think UChicago speaks for itself. But I think that's one aspect, and the other aspect is just that people have gotten here because they worked very hard in high school. And when you work hard in high school, maybe you were perceived as a nerd. And I never thought it was not a compliment, but a lot of people take it that way. And I feel like once you come to UChicago, it's like, okay, like now is my time to be popular before I get settled into like my monotonous day-to-day life and job after college. Like, college is their one shot to be cool. And yeah, I don't like that. And UChicago has a lot of insecurities on campus. And honestly, I personally think it's the people, but UChicago did admit those people, so maybe there's something there. The second, you know I'm gonna hit on this, you know, but the academics are very rigorous. And yes, I have this in the everything I love about UChicago video linked up there, but it is a con because you do go through by yourself. No one's there to show you the ropes, and that's the hardest thing about UChicago. They really funnel you into this very rigorous curriculum so quickly, and you just don't have the time to breathe at some point. And it's really just all on you. Like, my academic advisor, when I did really bad in one class, like the worst you could do in a class, linked up there if you want the story, my academic advisor literally just told me not to major in physics. She was like, oh, physics is literally the hardest major at UChicago, and if you think you're not up for it, maybe you should major in something else. And I was appalled. I was like, what? Like, I literally took higher level physics classes my entire life. And I made one mistake because mental health is a thing. Like, no one is perfect 24/7, and I just needed to work on myself. And I didn't realize that until I saw that grade, and then I started working on myself. And I ended up averaging a 3.8 my junior and senior year, like straight with physics classes and grad physics classes. So it's like, my advisor just told me that it might not be for me. And that's not someone who is trying to help you. And I don't think people mean it that way, but like, it does come across on campus that there is some sort of like elitism when it comes to you suffering in academics. It feels like you can't talk to anyone. PSA, you can always talk to your friends. You can always message me on Instagram. Like, really, someone's been there, and no one is getting straight A's. Like, people go through things and they go through hard classes. So that's something UChicago can be better about, just offering support. That leads into my third point, where I think it should be mandatory that professors give you a heads up about your performance in class. Like, I didn't even realize I was doing like so horribly in my class until I got my final grade. I honestly thought I was gonna get a C or something. Like, that's so horrible to say, but I was young, you know? I was like, oh, I'll just get a C and it'll be fine, I'll do better next time. But there was no heads up. So let's say you're halfway into your quarter and you're literally getting a failing grade. I feel like there should be a one-on-one meeting that they organized. Like, if you're in your first or second year in college, I feel like a one-on-one meeting should happen. Of course, we're all adults and we should be taking care of our own academics. But if the professor isn't transparent about the grading process, we don't know what the bell curve is going to be, because we get graded on the bell curve. So if the average of the class gets like a 60 is like a B, right? But we don't know any of that until it's happening. So I think like a mid-class check-in should be mandatory, but for all of you guys watching, you should go in and ask about your grade yourself, like during office hours. That was a mistake I made my first 2 years in college, and I never made that mistake again. So moving forward, I knew exactly where I was in class, and if I wasn't getting an A, I figured out how to get that A by the end of the quarter. My next point is that, you know, mental health should be more widespread on campus, and yes, there really is so much awareness. There's so many peer support groups. It is amazing. There's counselors on campus that you can schedule like, you know, a 7-week session with. Like, you meet them once every week for 7 weeks or twice a week, whatever you need. And if you need more, they're going to refer you to a therapist outside. Like, there are great therapists you could get referred to in the Hyde Park area. So it is available, but I think it needs to be even more widespread, because it isn't a joke. Like, people seriously harm themselves on campus, and there are stories of people like, you know, getting like sent to the psych ward, and just, it's not called the psych ward, I made that sound so bad, but people who are like forced to take a break away from UChicago. And it's just the truth that there is an air of depression on campus. Like, I won't lie, I love UChicago so much, but yeah, there is an air of depression. And yes, I was going through a really rough time my second year in college. I'd say the peer support groups are way better than the institution itself handling this. Like, I feel like they should do mandatory freshman workshops for assessing mental health and just like making sure everyone knows the resources that are available on campus. Because there's like this peer support group, I can't remember the name, but I'll do some research and I'll add it in here. They're amazing. They have like 24/7 support where you can just text and there's always going to be someone to talk to you. And it is just such a cool initiative that students created on campus. Like, I'm so proud of the people I went to school with, because they uphold great student organizations like that. But yeah, the school itself could be a lot better about it. I was gonna just do a trigger warning and tell you guys like some of the things that did happen on campus, but I don't think I'm gonna get into that. But if you want to know more about like issues on campus, you could always shoot me like a personal message. But yeah, there are a lot of situations where people cause harm to themselves, and I feel like the university just doesn't realize that there needs to be more help on campus and just more awareness of it. And just another point about that air of depression I talked about, it's also because winter is just very, very cold. It gets dark at 4 p.m. And there are times where like I wake up at noon, right? Because I don't have a class until like 1:30. My 1:30 class is like an hour 50 minutes. And by the time I'm out of class, it's like dark. And it's just like, I just woke up. I went to class and it got dark. So I think that it's also just Chicago weather and winter quarter that gets a little depressing. But then again, spring is like this burst of life. Like, it's beautiful. People are on campus. Everyone's having like picnics all day, and it's really nice. And summer in Chicago is unparalleled to like any city. It's just so fun. So yeah, but there is an air of depression on campus, I have to say. Another point, I think when it comes to Greek life on campus, I don't think it's as inclusive as it should be. Like, we're all adults, and I feel like there's still an air of judgment almost. Like, you still feel like there are cliques. And yes, I think that might be just a product of Greek life. And I made a lot of great friends in Greek life, so I'm not bashing on it. But a lot of people I know left Greek life because there were so many issues with like, I don't know, like inherent biases. Like, I don't want to say it's racism, but I think that there are very clear distinctions between certain fraternities and certain sororities on campus. Like, we went to one of the most progressive universities like in the world. UChicago is just, you know, paralleled good education, and you still see cliques, and it's just like, you know, I don't know, it feels like very like, not even high school, it feels very like middle school. But I really think there is an issue with Greek life, and I've seen so many posts of people who like disaffiliated from their sororities because of like issues within their sororities and them not feeling like they're included. So yeah, that's another point. I will go for my last point. This is very institution heavy, and I think this is deeply rooted in the fact that UChicago is like a private university that like does profit. Like this university isn't publicly funded, right? It's a private university, and all the Ivy Leagues, Stanford, MIT, Caltech, these are all privately funded universities. And when something's privately funded, it's capitalism, right? And it sucks because everyone who goes to top schools or wants to go to top schools, like you're inherently a part of that capitalism. And there's a lot I could say about that, but the fact that you are part of this institution, while this institution is in the south side of Chicago, gentrifying the area by virtue of just being an institution there, that's like a very rich institution, I think it really sucks. Like just in my 4 years, I know family businesses that had to move away from campus because they were like, we can't afford the hiking and rent prices here anymore. And there was like a little yogurt place that got shut down. And in that same street where the yogurt place got shut down, that was the street I lived on, 53rd Street. That's the street where like you get all your groceries and stuff. That's the same street that Target sprung up. And you know what they say about Target. It's called Target for a reason. You know, it's very bougie, and with all of those gentrifying aspects like popping up because of the University of Chicago and because there's so much money funneled into this area, I think a lot of businesses in the South Side, like yes, students are going there, and also UChicago employs a lot of people from the South Side of Chicago on campus. It's just a balance, but I still think that UChicago is essentially gentrifying the area, and there are just some things that like they do because they're like a for-profit institution that I just don't agree with. Like one of the observatories I worked at, Yerkes Observatory, it was absolutely beautiful. It was my first internship, and it was the summer after my first year in college. It literally like got shut down, like the university like shut it down, and it's like a piece of historic architecture, and they just sent every single person who worked at the observatory like severance. And I don't know, like I get that things need to be done from the university standpoint, but like I worked there. It's not even that the observatory was getting too expensive for them, it was literally the fact that the observatory wasn't turning a profit. A historical observatory with the largest refracting telescope. It is a historical place, and I have a personal attachment to it because I worked there, and I went there like several times after I worked there. It's in Wisconsin, and I don't know, the university like shut it down and sent severance, and they had to fight to get nonprofit status. Like the observatory had to fight the university, and it was really messed up because the university was just gonna sell it to like some people who like would pay a lot and create like luxury like resort style condos or something there. And I don't know, I heard that and I was just like, you know, but I know that's a very personal thing, but like this is a personal video about the things I hate about UChicago. While I understand the other sides of things, like why certain things happen the way they did on campus, I still think that there's a lot of work to be done on campus. So that's pretty much it for today. I'm sure there are more things I can think of, but I've been talking for a while now, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching if you stuck out this far. And if you ever want like UChicago specific videos, like shoot me a comment down below. It really doesn't take me that long because all of it's like in my head. Like I like embody UChicago at this point. Like I don't even need to do research because I'm like, I literally am the research. So yeah, I don't think that made sense, but it's like, you know, it's 8:30, it's like bedtime. So I will see you guys on my next video. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching.